Commander Elena Blackwood stood at the viewport of the UES Intrepid, watching the massive Xylaxian warship approach through the star-studded darkness. After 15 years of brutal conflict, the Terran Alliance had been forced into an uneasy partnership with the Xylaxians to combat a greater threat, the expanding Void Collective. But today's diplomatic meeting felt different. Wrong. The Xylaxian envoy, High Marshal Drektor, had requested a private audience, unusual for a species that preferred grand displays of power. Elena's first officer, James Martinez, shifted uncomfortably beside her. "I don't like this, Commander," he muttered, adjusting his dress uniform's collar. "The Xylaxians never ask for private meetings unless they're about to drop something unpleasant in our laps." Elena smoothed back her graying black hair, a reminder of the toll this endless war had taken. "Noted, James. But we need their quantum shield technology if we're going to hold the line against the collective." The docking bay's massive doors parted with a hydraulic hiss. High Marshal Drektor entered, his crystalline exoskeleton catching the light, accompanied by 4 guards and 2 figures in shadow steel restraints. Elena's breath caught as she realized the bound figures were prisoners, a tall, graceful being with iridescent scales and another with bioluminescent markings that pulsed with barely contained energy. "Commander Blackwood," Drektor's translated voice resonated through the chamber. "I bring you a token of our Empire's commitment to this alliance." Elena's jaw tightened. "We don't accept tokens involving sentient beings, Marshal." Drektor's crystalline features shifted into what passed for amusement among his kind. "These are not mere prisoners. This is Kira Valen, former Admiral of the Celestial Federation's Third Fleet. Her tactical genius is unmatched in 3 spiral arms." He gestured to the scaled woman, who met Elena's gaze with fierce defiance. "And this," he continued, indicating the bioluminescent being, "is Zara Nexus, perhaps the greatest biomechanical engineer in known space. She can commune with technology in ways your scientists can barely comprehend." Elena's mind raced. Both women were legendary figures from civilizations the Xylaxians had conquered. Their capabilities could turn the tide against the Void Collective, but accepting them as gifts went against everything the Terran Alliance stood for. "They are yours," Drektor declared. "To wed, to command, to utilize as you see fit. Such is the Xylaxian way of binding powerful allies." The room fell silent. Elena felt her crew's eyes on her, waiting for her response. The Xylaxians had carefully crafted this trap: refuse, and risk the alliance they desperately needed. Accept, and betray the alliance's fundamental principles. Elena stepped forward, her voice cold. "And if I decline?" Drektor's crystalline form darkened. "Then they will be terminated, as is our law regarding rejected offerings. Their knowledge is too valuable to risk falling into enemy hands." Elena met Kira's fierce gaze, then Zara's calculating one. In that moment, she saw not defeated prisoners, but potential allies, if she could find a way to turn this situation to their advantage. "I accept responsibility for them," Elena said carefully, choosing her words with diplomatic precision. "They will be treated according to Alliance protocols for high-value refugees." Drektor's form brightened. "Excellent. The binding ceremony can dash." "There will be no ceremony," Elena cut him off. "The Alliance doesn't practice forced marriages. They will be granted quarters appropriate to their former ranks and treated with the respect their achievements deserve." The Marshal's crystalline surface rippled with barely contained anger. "Commander, you cannot simply dash." "I can, and I will." Elena's voice carried the authority of someone who had faced down worse threats. "Unless you wish to explain to the Alliance Council why you're violating our laws and customs in our own territory." A tense moment passed before Drektor's form settled. "Very well. But remember, Commander, gifts spurned often bring unexpected consequences." With a sharp gesture to his guards, he turned and departed, leaving Elena alone with her new guests. Elena immediately moved to release their restraints, using her command codes to deactivate the shadow steel bonds. "I apologize for that performance," she said quietly. "I needed him gone before we could speak freely." Kira rubbed her scaled wrists, her voice carrying a musical quality despite her suspicion. "Why help us? Your alliance with the Xylaxians is a necessity, not a choice," Elena finished. "But necessity doesn't require us to become what we fight against." She turned to Zara, whose bioluminescent patterns had shifted to something less aggressive. "You'll both be given full access to your quarters, though some areas of the ship will remain restricted until we establish trust." "Trust?" Zara's patterns pulsed with surprise. "You would trust former enemy commanders?" "No," Elena smiled grimly. "I trust that you both hate the Xylaxians more than you hate us. And right now, that's enough to start with." The ship's alert system suddenly blared to life. "Commander," Martinez's voice crackled over the comm. "3 Xylaxian warships just dropped out of quantum space. They're charging weapons." Elena's smile turned predatory. "Right on schedule. Ladies, I could use your expertise. Care to show our allies why you earned your reputations?" Kira's scales rippled with anticipation. "You planned for this? Let's just say I know how the Xylaxians handle rejected gifts." Elena gestured toward the bridge. "Shall we?" As they rushed to the bridge, Elena knew she'd just ignited a powder keg in an already volatile alliance. But looking at her 2 new allies, she suspected she'd just gained something far more valuable than Xylaxian technology. She'd gained a chance to change the very nature of this war. The bridge of the UES Intrepid erupted into controlled chaos as Elena strode in, Kira and Zara close behind. The tactical display showed 3 Xylaxian warships moving into attack formation, their quantum shields already forming the characteristic crystalline patterns that made them nearly impenetrable. "Status report," Elena commanded, sliding into her captain's chair. "Xylaxian vessels are charging main weapons," Lieutenant Park reported from Tactical. "They're claiming we violated diplomatic protocols and demand we return their property." Elena noticed several bridge officers glancing nervously at Kira and Zara. "Eyes on your stations, people. Our guests are now under Alliance protection." She turned to Kira. "Admiral Valen, I could use your insight on Xylaxian attack patterns." Kira moved to the tactical station, her scaled form graceful despite the tension. "They're using a Trinity formation. It's designed to create overlapping fields of fire while maintaining quantum shield synchronization." Her eyes narrowed. "But there's a flaw in their positioning." "Show me," Elena ordered, as the first volley of Xylaxian energy beams splashed against their shields. "Shields at 82% and dropping," Martinez warned. Kira's fingers danced across the tactical display. "The Xylaxians rely on geometric perfection in their formations. Their shields are strongest when their ships form exact angles." She highlighted a point between 2 of the warships. "But they're off by 0.3 degrees here. Their shield harmonics won't align properly. Can we exploit that?" Elena asked. Zara stepped forward, her bioluminescent patterns shifting rapidly. "Yes, but not with conventional weapons. Your ship's quantum core, I can feel its resonance. If I can access your engineering systems, I could create a feedback pulse that would disrupt their shield synchronization." Elena hesitated only a moment before nodding to Martinez. "Grant her access to engineering, but maintain security protocols on critical systems." "Commander," Martinez protested, "giving an enemy engineer access to our quantum core could be our only chance," Elena finished. "Sometimes the greatest risk is taking no risk at all." As Zara interfaced with the engineering console, her patterns pulsing with increasing intensity, the ship rocked from another barrage. "Shields at 61%, Park announced. "They're targeting our propulsion systems. They want to disable us, not destroy us," Kira observed. "Typical Xylaxian arrogance." They believe capture is inevitable. Elena allowed herself a grim smile. Let's prove them wrong. Zara, status? The quantum harmonics are complex. Zara's voice carried an odd resonance as she communed with the ship's systems. Your technology is primitive compared to what I'm used to, but there's an elegant simplicity to it. I can work with this. Another hit rocked the bridge. Shields at 43%, Park reported. We can't take much more of this. Target locked on their weak point, Kira announced. But we'll only get one shot before they realize what we're doing and adjust their formation. Elena leaned forward in her chair. Zara, on my mark. Wait, Zara's patterns flashed urgently. There's something else. A signal hidden in their shield frequencies. They're not just trying to disable us, they're attempting to upload a virus into our systems. Can you block it? Better. Zara's patterns turned almost blinding. I can reverse it. Send it back through their own shield network. But. She hesitated. It will cause a cascade failure in their quantum cores. The ships won't be destroyed, but they'll be completely disabled. Elena met Kira's gaze. Their crews will survive, Kira confirmed. But they'll be helpless until support arrives. Another hit sent sparks flying from a nearby console. Shields critical. Park shouted. Elena made her decision. Do it. Zara's hands moved in a blur across the console as Kira called out targeting corrections. The Intrepid's quantum core pulsed, sending a precisely calibrated beam through the microscopic flaw in the Xylaxian formation. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the Xylaxian ship's crystalline shields flared brilliant white before collapsing completely. Their lights flickered and died, leaving them drifting helplessly in space. Direct hit, Kira announced, satisfaction evident in her voice. All three vessels have lost power. Their quantum cores are in emergency shutdown. Get us out of here, maximum speed, Elena ordered. Plot a course that will lose any pursuit. She turned to her new allies. That was impressive work, both of you. Perhaps, Zara's patterns had dimmed to a soft glow. But you realize what this means. The Xylaxians will never believe we acted alone. They'll assume the Alliance planned this from the start. Let them, Elena stood, surveying her bridge crew. Everyone here witnessed their attempt to subvert our systems. We acted in self-defense. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. But there's something bigger happening here. That virus wasn't designed to just disable us, it was meant to give them complete control of our quantum core technology. The Xylaxians already have superior quantum technology, Kira pointed out. Why would they need yours? That's what we need to find out, Elena replied. Along with why they were so insistent on placing two of the most brilliant military minds in known space on my ship. She looked meaningfully at both women. I don't believe in coincidences. Nor do I, Kira admitted. The Xylaxians are planning something. Something big enough that they needed us removed from our respective commands, but valuable enough to keep alive. Commander, Martinez interrupted. Long-range sensors are detecting multiple quantum signatures. Looks like a Xylaxian battle group responding to a distress call. Then we better make ourselves scarce while we figure this out. Elena turned to her newfound allies. I'm offering you both positions as civilian consultants. No restraints, no forced marriages, just your expertise in exchange for our protection. Interested? Kira and Zara exchanged glances. You trust us that much? Zara asked. Trust is earned, Elena replied. But you both just helped save my ship and crew. It's a start. As the Intrepid jumped to quantum speed, leaving the disabled Xylaxian ships behind, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. They'd won the battle, but something told her the real war, the one hidden behind diplomatic smiles and false alliances, was just beginning. For days after their escape from the Xylaxian warships, Elena sat in her ready room, studying reports with Kira and Zara. The Intrepid had taken refuge in an unmapped nebula, using the charged particles to mask their quantum signature while they planned their next move. "The virus code is unlike anything I've seen," Zara said, her bioluminescent patterns rippling with concern as she projected a holographic representation of the malicious program. "It's not just Xylaxian technology. There are elements of Celestial Federation architecture, and even traces of Void collective coding." Kira leaned forward, her scales shifting colors in the dim light. "That's impossible. The collective doesn't share their technology. That's why the Alliance partnered with the Xylaxians in the first place, to combat their expansion. Unless," Elena set down her tablet, "the partnership isn't what we thought it was." She stood, pacing near the viewport where the nebula's swirling colors cast ever-changing shadows. "Think about it. Why would the Xylaxians give us two of their most valuable prisoners right when they're supposedly helping us fight the collective?" Before either could respond, the ship's alert system blared. "Commander to the bridge," Martinez's voice carried an edge of urgency. "We've got a situation." They rushed onto the bridge, where the main display showed a disturbance in the nebula's gases. "Multiple quantum signatures," Lieutenant Park reported. "But they're not Xylaxian. The energy patterns match Void collective vessels. How did they find us?" Elena demanded, sliding into her command chair. "They didn't," Kira's voice was grim as she studied the tactical display. "They were already here. This nebula, it's a staging area." The bridge crew watched in horror as dozens of Void collective ships emerged from the gas clouds, their black hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. But instead of attacking, they were forming into travel formation, preparing to jump to quantum speed. "An invasion fleet," Elena breathed. "Heading directly for Alliance space." "No," Zara's patterns pulsed rapidly as she interfaced with the sensor array. "Their trajectory, they're heading for Xylaxian territory. The heart of their empire." Kira's scales darkened. "Now it makes sense. The Xylaxians knew this was coming. They needed our quantum core technology because they've lost faith in their own. Because their technology has been compromised," Elena finished. "The Void collective has found a way to turn the Xylaxians' quantum shields against them." She turned to Zara. "That virus, it wasn't meant to control our core. It was meant to protect it." Zara's patterns shifted to a deep blue. "The Xylaxians didn't give us to you as a gift or a trap. They were trying to save us, in their own twisted way. They knew their empire was about to fall." A sudden explosion rocked the ship. "We've been spotted," Park shouted. "3 collective vessels breaking formation to engage." "Battle stations," Elena ordered. "Kira, we need options. The nebula works against us here," Kira analyzed the tactical display. "Their Void-based technology is designed to operate in dark energy environments. Our shields will be at 60% efficiency at best. Then we don't fight conventionally." Elena turned to Zara. "You said their ships absorb light. What happens if we give them more than they can handle?" Zara's patterns brightened with understanding. "The quantum core, we could modify it to release a massive burst of pure energy. Their absorption technology would try to compensate. An overload," Kira finished. "But that would drain our core. We'd be defenseless." "Not if we time it right," Elena looked at her crew, then her new allies. "Can you do it?" Zara moved to the engineering station. "Yes, but I'll need help. Their Void technology operates on principles I don't fully understand. I fought against them for 3 years," Kira offered. "I know their tactical weaknesses. If we position ourselves here," she indicated a point in the nebula, "the gas density will amplify the energy burst." Another hit rocked the ship. "Shields at 52% and falling," Park reported. "They're using some kind of Void-based weapon." It's eating through our defenses. Elena made her decision. Do it. Lieutenant Park, divert all non-essential power to shields. We just need to hold them off long enough to spring the trap. The next few minutes were a dance of death through the nebula's swirling gases. The Intrepid took hit after hit while Kira called out evasive maneuvers and Zara's patterns flared with concentration as she modified the quantum core. Ready, Zara announced finally. But Commander, this will reveal our position to every ship in the sector. Including the invasion fleet, Kira added. We'll have to run immediately. Elena nodded grimly. Better to run with the truth than hide in ignorance. Lieutenant Park, target coordinates locked. Yes, Commander. All three pursuers are in optimal position. Zara, now. The quantum core's discharge lit up the nebula like a newborn star. The Void Collective ships, designed to absorb energy, greedily consumed the burst, and immediately began to break apart as their systems overloaded. But through the bridge viewport, Elena could see the invasion fleet turning, their dark hulls reflecting the explosive light. They've spotted us, Martinez reported unnecessarily. The entire fleet is altering course. Get us out of here, Elena ordered. Maximum quantum speed. Head for Alliance headquarters. As the Intrepid leaped into quantum space, Elena turned to her allies. The Xylaxians knew. They knew the collective had compromised their technology, knew an invasion was coming. Instead of telling us, they tried to save their two most valuable prisoners by hiding you on an Alliance vessel. Arrogant to the end, Kira's scales rippled with anger. Thinking they could handle it alone. But now we know, Zara's patterns had dimmed to a tired glow. The question is, will the Alliance believe us? We're escaped prisoners and you're a commander who just violated a dozen protocols. Elena smiled grimly. They'll believe us because we have proof. That virus you reversed? It's not just evidence of Xylaxian deception. It's proof that the Void Collective has found a way to corrupt quantum shield technology at its source. And if we don't act fast, they won't stop with the Xylaxian Empire. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. They'd uncovered the truth, but now came the hard part, convincing two distrustful civilizations to work together before it was too late. The Alliance Council chamber hummed with tense voices as Elena finished presenting their evidence. The massive holographic display showed detailed analyses of the Void Collective's virus, the compromised Xylaxian quantum shields, and the invasion fleet's projected course. This is preposterous, Admiral Chen declared, his weathered face flushed with anger. You expect us to believe the Xylaxians concealed an imminent invasion rather than ask for help? And your proof comes from two enemy commanders you illegally freed? Elena stood firm, flanked by Kira and Zara. The evidence speaks for itself, Admiral. The Void Collective has found a way to corrupt quantum shield technology at its fundamental level. The Xylaxians' pride prevented them from admitting their vulnerability, but they tried to save their most valuable assets, the two people who might help us stop this. And why should we trust them? Another counselor demanded. The Scaled One commanded fleets against us. The Luminescent One designed weapons to kill our people. Because we've seen what's coming, Kira stepped forward, her scales shifting to deep crimson. I fought the collective before they overwhelmed my civilization. They don't conquer, they consume. They transform everything they touch into extensions of their hive mind. The chamber's doors burst open as an aide rushed in. Council members. We're receiving priority distress calls from multiple Xylaxian sectors. Their quantum shield network is failing systematically. The collective, they're already inside Xylaxian space. The holographic display updated, showing vast swaths of Xylaxian territory going dark. Elena watched the council members' faces as they realized the truth of her warnings. But before they could respond, Zara's patterns flared with sudden alarm. The quantum interference, she said, her voice tight with concern. It's not just in Xylaxian space. I can feel it, here. The chamber's lights flickered ominously. On the display, warning indicators began flashing across Alliance territory. Our quantum shields, Elena realized with horror. They're linked to the same underlying technology as the Xylaxians. We're just as vulnerable. Impossible, Admiral Chen protested. Our systems are completely separate from Dash. No network is truly separate, Zara interrupted, her patterns pulsing rapidly as she interfaced with the chamber's systems. The collective doesn't just hack technology, they infect the quantum field itself. They've been planning this for years, spreading their corruption through every quantum-based system in the galaxy. As if to confirm her words, the chamber's quantum-powered defense grid suddenly failed. Emergency lights bathed the room in red as alerts blared throughout the Alliance headquarters. Multiple quantum shield failures reported across the sector, the aide announced, his voice shaking. Our entire defense network is going dark. Elena turned to the council. We don't have time for debate. The collective isn't just invading the Xylaxians, this is a coordinated attack on all advanced civilizations. They've been playing us against each other while they prepared to consume everyone. What do you propose? Council President Rivera asked, her calm voice cutting through the growing panic. We need to combine our knowledge, Kira said. The Celestial Federation's quantum mathematics, Xylaxian crystal technology, Alliance engineering, and... She glanced at Zara, her unique ability to communicate with quantum systems. I can create a quantum pulse that could purge the collective's corruption, Zara explained, her pattern steady despite the chaos. But it would need to be broadcast through every quantum core in Alliance and Xylaxian space simultaneously. We'd need their cooperation. The Xylaxians will never admit their weakness, Admiral Chen scoffed. They already have, Elena countered. Why else would they send us their two most brilliant commanders? They knew we'd discover the truth. They were too proud to ask for help directly, but they gave us everything we needed to figure it out ourselves. A massive explosion rocked the building. Through the chamber's windows, they could see void collective ships appearing in the sky above Alliance headquarters, their dark hulls blocking out the stars. Multiple quantum breaches detected, the aide reported. They're coming through our own shield network. Council President Rivera stood. Commander Blackwood, you have operational authority. What are your orders? Elena looked at her unlikely allies, Kira's tactical brilliance, Zara's technological insight, both proof that cooperation was possible even between former enemies. First, we evacuate the Council to the Intrepid. Then we contact the Xylaxian Empire. Not with demands or accusations, but with a simple message, the time for pride is over. Either we stand together, or we fall alone. And if they refuse? Admiral Chen asked. They won't, Kira's scales shimmered with determination. Because we're going to show them something they've never seen before, humans, Xylaxians, and Celestials working together as equals. The collective believes our divisions make us weak. Let's prove them wrong. As they rushed from the chamber, Elena's mind raced with plans. They had one chance to unite three civilizations that had spent generations fighting each other. One chance to stop an enemy that had spent years preparing for this moment. One chance to prove that cooperation was stronger than conquest. The Void Collective ships loomed overhead, their presence a dark promise of extinction. But looking at her crew and her newfound allies, Elena felt something she hadn't expected, hope. Because for the first time, she wasn't just fighting for survival. She was fighting for a future where different species could stand together against the darkness. Now they just had to survive long enough to make that future possible.